the sandwich on my desk.
I'm guilty of that. I still do it all the time.
And that, yeah, it made a huge difference. It was actually my therapist that made me do that. Just right
it's a real physical boundary, isn't it? It's
yeah.
those boundaries in terms of that you can shut that door, can't you? And
I will say my initial desk at home was in my bedroom, and I knew pretty early on that there was no way that I could do that. Like, I needed to separate the area that I sleep from the area that I work, and so that was within the first week. I was out into my living room for sure. But there's not a whole lot. It's easier to be here because the dog can come in and out. We don't get a lot of sunlight in the winter here, so being close to the windows, the big sliding glass doors I have is nice because whatever sunlight we do get, I get some of it. I could have been in my guest room, but it made more sense, the most mental health sense to be here. I didn't have a lot of options, but the best of all those not great options was being here. So,
have you? I mean, it doesn't sound like it. Do you ever lose motivation? Do you ever?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely hard days. I don't want to say like every day is peachy and rosy, but I think I hear from people all the time. It can't be that easy. I have just a different mental outlook on things. I think that life is 90% what happens to you and 10% how you react to it, and I think that 10% is what you control. And if you can control that 10% and make sure that you are doing the best that you can, everything's going to work out. And so, yeah, this year's been shitty. Like, there's nothing you can say about it. It's been awful. I think nobody's having a great year. Even the people that are off partying in Tulum all the time, and I see you, trust me, I see you down there. You're not having a good time. You're in a little bubble with the same people, and it's tough. I don't have great days every day, but that doesn't mean that I still can let myself slip. In my mind, the minute that I start to give in to having a shitty day is the minute that I'm not going to be able to recover. I'm not going to be able to wake up the next day and power through it. And so I think the huge motivation for me, it's the same. Again, I relate a lot back to swimming, but if I had a crappy day at practice, I have another opportunity that afternoon to do better. And if I don't there, when is it going to stop? When am I going to break the cycle? When are you going to push through and be able to get stuff done? My world moves too quick to let things pile up and to get lazy and to say, I'll do it tomorrow. If I don't do it today, it's not going to get done because then something else is getting pushed back. So, yeah, I mean, it's not easy, but it is what it is. And suck it up. I think, my sister is younger than me, but she's brilliant. And her and I have totally different philosophies on life. And she's one of those people that's like, if she's having a bad day, she'll take the day off. And I don't agree with that. I think you've got to suffer through it. There's something to be said about powering through and suffering through and getting it done. It's more rewarding. I think the end goal of that ends up being more rewarding for you. And yeah, I'm not saying it's easy. It's crappy. This year has not been fun. The waking up every morning to the exact same routine is not fun, but you just do it.
And is there anything that does, you kind of seek out if you're needing a bit of support, be it, I don't know, a podcast or TED Talk, or I don't know, is there anything which you go...
Complain to Leah. Exactly, and just complain to her. I'm like, I'm having a crappy day. This sucks.
One of us receive a message from the other one. What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I maybe it's because I'm a guy. I never have been like big on seeing a therapist. I've always been sort of self-motivated. In college they made you see a sports psych once a month. So I did that, and I talk with Leah. I'm not opposed to ever seeing a psychologist or something, or a therapist, but I'm sort of my own nutcase. I'm my own therapist most of the time, or Leah substitutes for me.
And so I just imagined you talking to yourself in the mirror.
I do. Well, that's one of the crazy things about swimming that I don't think, if you've never been a competitive swimmer, you don't know it, is that your head is underwater for 2-3 hours at a time. You're not talking to other people, so you're just thinking in your own head and talking to yourself. Like, I'm sure this sounds crazy to everyone else, and I probably am insane, but like I've worked through like world hunger issues and like all these crazy things in my head. So now it's like, to me, it's totally common that I'll be talking to myself in my head. It's just totally normal to me.
And actually, as you say that I think do it for me when I think back to swimming, when I've just done lengths and gone backwards and forwards. And it is that you just think.
Yeah.
You know, all you need to do is breathe and move your arms and legs. I mean, I'm sure
It's too much for me.
because you were doing competitive level was a lot more than my, you know,
Yeah,
going
but training, it's not, you don't have to think much more.
But
Yeah.
you know, but it's that kind of breathe and think. That's all you need to do, isn't it?
I'm used to it. I'll like step out of myself and like have a conversation internally in my head. And like, that's how I work through work problems. That's how I work through like personal problems, is like trying to step out of myself and look at something objectively and say, hey, you know, how we're having this issue. How do we power through this? You've been through something like this before. How do you work through it? And I'm able to fix most of my life that way. You know, it probably sounds crazy, and I don't think it's great advice for other people. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but it works pretty well for me.
No, it is something that works for some people. It doesn't work for others. I know it's more often than not has worked for me. I was only since starting Pineapple that I started seeing a therapist, and then went, oh, that's the things I didn't address. But no, I think sitting and putting the world to rights or your own head to rights is.
And have you? I guess. Just thinking about swimming, I guess, I don't know, have you been able to carry on swimming while...
Oh, no, my shoulder's completely shredded. I couldn't get back in a pool if I wanted to. It's destroyed. It's bad. My shoulder is mincemeat. No way.
I would yeah, if you wanted to. Oh,
Did you not have to? Do you have to get it broken again every so often?
Yes, there's a lot of maintenance that goes into my shoulder surgically, and I mean, it's bad. My body is broken.
Well, it's just as well your mind's working so well, isn't it?
Yeah. I took all the good stuff from swimming, not the negative body stuff. So
it's a good job you weren't just, I was going to say a pretty face, but a swimming person.
I know it's radio, but Leah was moving her arms there in a crawl-like fashion.
Incredible technique.
It didn't.
It's been a tough year for everyone. You know, I think some of the best advice I got early on was wake up and keep your routine. You know, wake up, shower, get into real clothes, don't sit around in pajamas. You know, establish a routine at home like you would in the office. And like, I've tried to do that. What I would do in the office when I come in is drop my stuff and get a cup of tea. I do the same thing at home and just try to keep, you know, the same mental stuff. You know, if I'm having a bad day at work, what would I do? The same stuff that I would do at home. And you just have to figure it out. You know, this isn't going to go on forever, but the transition back to normal life is not going to be easy for a lot of people too. I think there's going to be, you know, maybe not as severe, but there's going to be a yo-yo swing the other way of now I've got to go back to the office. Now I'm around other people. And if you weren't prepared for that the whole time, that's going to be just as tough of a transition, and to stay motivated to do that too. So I think the more you can do now in whatever way you can to get yourself through this and establish a routine and stay motivated, the better.
Yeah, when we were in full lockdown, maintaining a routine was what got me through, and that's pretty much where you are at the minute, isn't it? With I mean, just with how cold it is outside, you may as well.
Yeah, we're in full lockdown for all intents and purposes. We're in full lockdown, so it's cold. It is what it is. It's cold, and it is what it is.
At least you've got B now.
Yes, I do. He's sleeping right now, which is good. Usually when I'm on calls, he comes over because he thinks I'm talking to somebody and wants to be a part of it. But it's early in the morning for him, so he's asleep.
At least he's not getting so because he got a little bit stressed at first, didn't he, when you were talking to nobody?
Oh my gosh, that would have been one of the harder parts of the transition, was the dog. Now I'm home all the time, and he hears me talking, but he doesn't see where somebody is, so he's very anxious because he thinks there's somebody in the house. That was, even now, still, when I'm on calls and he's a little riled up, he'll come around because he doesn't understand. Such a simple creature. Happy, simple creature.
Good to have happy, simple creatures in your life.
Absolutely.
Again, that's probably why you are stressed. Right, on that note.
It's going to follow that, really, isn't there?
Yeah. Great way to end.
The swimming actions.
We'll work on your technique. The next show we go to that has a pool, we'll get in and we'll work on that.
Are you saying I'm lacking technique?
I mean, there's room for improvement. How about that?
Yeah, I'll take that. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your very, very busy day.
Of course, no
really
problem. I budgeted the time. Don't worry.
We were on one of those notes, weren't we? On little cards.
Not only a card, I followed up with Leah. I was like, we're doing this now. Like, I'm very meticulous to make sure I had everything planned out for the day.
And I'd given him the wrong date, so it was good that he did that.
Got to stay on top of it.
And I'm very pleased that you did. All right. Well, thank you again, Sneha. And for anyone that's interested in Mr. Skin, but the website is just mrskin.com. If you'd like to know more about Pineapple Support, you can visit our website, which is pineapplesupport.org. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.